K-dramas have taken the world by storm, and Webtoon adaptations like Sweet Home and True Beauty are leading the charge. With bold storytelling, cinematic visuals, and ready-made fan bases, they've become global hits on Netflix and beyond. But what's driving this success? Let's hear from the professionals observing this trend.
Given your experience with transmedia storytelling, how do you see the trend of adapting web novels and webtoons into now the growing trend of K-dramas impacting the global entertainment landscape?
I think this is a really exciting time to be creating new IP and new stories. We saw some of the first webtoons and Wattpad web novels transferred in the States from those sort of socially developed stories. Like you were seeing each chapter come out with fans in real time into full Netflix movies and things here in the States almost a decade ago with things like The Kissing Booth. But the
Right.
opportunity to connect with the audience early gives you a great foundation to build your IP, not just creatively, but also to demonstrate that it is finding an audience. Platforms like Webtoon and Wattpad are great for this. And it's a natural fit, especially with the growing interest in Korean and Japanese comics in the United States, that these would translate into fantastic dramas like Trauma Code. And we'll continue to see this trend of IP that's developed in comics and these more social curatorial platforms finding their way into markets not just regionally, but global success stories.
Every month, there is always one K-drama that's on the top of the Netflix charts. And I don't
Absolutely.
think I've seen that growing up before. It's definitely not a new trend, but quite recent.
Definitely a recent trend seeing K-dramas scoring so highly in the global charts, but a natural fit because the interest in K-dramas and J-dramas has been growing as Netflix has been establishing more international content available globally. The statistics I've seen show that most people watch the most content in their language of origin, in their first and second
Mhm.
languages, but we do see an increasing number of people viewing l- content in languages that aren't theirs, a combination of great captioning and dubbing options provided by different streaming platforms. And I think there's a reality that great stories will appeal across regions and across local formats. Yeah, these different styles of presentation. Sometimes K-dramas and J-dramas feel a little unfamiliar to American audiences just because the style of performance is different. But thanks to the growth of affection for anime, the growth of affection, and the
Right.
availability of K-dramas, the audience has only been growing. And we see these shows connecting more and more with younger generations of viewers, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Because I'm very
Okay,
curious about your work on Batman. So
sure.
it was said that fans were directly involved in the creative process. Now, can you explain
Mhm.
why this approach was taken and how did it influence the final story?
Absolutely. So, for the past few years, I've worked with DC and Warner Brothers Discovery on incubating new superfan programs, starting with digital collectibles. We created this new idea of how we could connect with the
Mhm.
deepest fans of Batman and the DC universe. Um, and one of the big things that we've seen is that for Gen Z, Gen Alpha, it's not just wanting to feel ownership over the stories that you love. It's an expectation that being a fan who's dedicated hours, days, years of your life to being part of these story worlds that you love should be reciprocated with some ability to have some participation in the creative process and the development of these worlds because they're investing so much of their time already. And I think for DC, they wanted
Mhm.
to figure out how to connect with fans more deeply, how to explore new co creative processes that reflect the engagement and investment of fans' time and affection into these worlds that they love. And what we built together was a really exciting program that combined the best parts of an alternate reality game where people are playing along in a world from a first person perspective, a fan club, and really gave people unique access into the creative process of a new series named by the fans Batman the Legacy Cowl. So back in the 90s, DC had allowed fans to call in to vote on the outcome of the Death of the Family, a comic book series where it was you were going to determine um, whether Robin lived or died at the end of a story arc. This was groundbreaking. It was a toll-free number. You had to use an actual telephone to be able to call in and count your vote. And that took an entire summer to be able to create a single opportunity for fans to have a choice. What we worked on in this project was not just how can we give fans a voice in the creation of a new storyline, but how can we bring them deeper into that process? So, some of the things we did are very familiar to intellectual property holders who love to connect with their fans. Behind the
Mhm.
scenes event, exclusive previews, and opportunities to connect with new products, experiences, parties, events, and talk to creators directly in virtual events. But we also had fans vote on the content of the comics as it was being created.
So, how do you see emerging technologies such as generative art, VR, AI influencing the future of storytelling and IP development?
So we've been in this phase of media experience technologies that has been really expansive for
Mhm.
decades. It's never been easier to create a new IP, make something with it, and distribute it to a global audience than ever before. And in many ways, we've gotten kind of accustomed to that expansiveness as being the hallmark of new technological innovations. But for many of the more recent trends in technology innovation and experience, for example, virtual reality, the audience size, the production budgets, and the scale of production required to make it actually is a smaller audience than, say, you might get on a YouTube.
Mhm.
So, as we're thinking about these experiences and these new technologies, um, it's very important to think about the human audience member at their center. What is this experience doing with them? In virtual reality, you're able to immerse someone in an incredibly compelling world and give them agency as a first person character in that experience in a way that other platforms really don't provide. And you can do that and distribute it globally in a way you can't with a themed entertainment destination. So there are different tools for different types of experience. And one might be better suited for your intellectual property than another. If you're looking to find the widest reach possible, web video might be your top choice. If you're looking to connect with a really high prestige audience and a global prestige idea, you're looking for partners with larger platforms who can help bring that idea to life and connect you with some of the top talent on earth. Um, but as you're looking at new experiences, looking at a new technology, I always ask, what is this giving me as an audience member? And you can usually start with yourself because you'll know immediately if something fits or feels right. And you may not always be able to voice it, but instinctually you'll know this makes sense to me or this doesn't. And often I encounter people who are chasing a new technology with their IP because it feels fresh, it feels very exciting.
Mhm.
But if they can't come up with a story that really makes sense, that really connects that experience to the story that they've told and want to tell, and that the audience is going to really want, it doesn't make sense to pursue that now. You want to find the right story for the experience that's going to connect the most whenever you're looking at a new IP extension. Um, and I think that's also really important to do the work of understanding what does the production cycle for this look like? During the biggest parts of the hype cycle of virtual reality, it was incredibly difficult to even get virtual reality cameras into the hands of people who wanted to create with them. Over time, that's changed, but the enthusiasm for VR and the wide audience interest, the wide coverage of it, didn't match the actual technology that was required to make it at high level. And the budgets to create it were more than 3 times what making it a traditional film piece or a traditional game would mean at the time. So it's very exciting. And you may find a new experience type in a new technology trend that immediately connects with you. You know that this is something that you've been waiting for this whole time to bring to your project.
My name is Jake Wong, and I work for Kakao Entertainment. Kakao Entertainment responsible for the entertainment related everything like music and Kdrama and idols, web novel, webtoon. I'm in charge of the managing of our IPs, web novel, webtoon, and also I developing TV series or film based on our IP.
How do you prioritize which web novels and webtoons from the extensive portfolio you guys have? Which ones do you guys pick to say this one has potential?
There are two ways of adapted as a TV series or film. One way is started from our side. We see a lot of metrics, audience metrics like viewership or revenue of the webtoon, or sometimes we see the demographic datas because a lot of actual user of audience of the TV drama is a woman like you.
Yes,
So
yes.
that is why we see a lot of metrics for the adaptation. And the other one is started from creators, TV producers, directors, writers. They interested in our specific IP. They want to adapt it as a TV series. They propose to us, we want this IP. We really want to produce a TV series based on your IP. That kind of things happens.
Wow, okay. Thank you. Now, so webtoons usually feature, I know Korean webtoons are not manga, they're colored and they're just like one-page drag. So webtoons often feature visually very different dynamic than live action. How do you replicate the same type of genre and the same type of energy from print to live action?
You already see the Secretary Kim webtoon.
Yeah.
It's that kind of normal romance genre is very easy to produce as adapted as a TV series, but like over 50% of the webtoon is main genre is fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes, romance fantasy, boys fantasy.
Yeah.
A lot of the work is the main setting is back to the past, like middle age and reincarnated as that kind of content is a lot. That kind of content and setting is really hard to adapt it as a TV series or films.
I see.
Because a lot of production costs will be costed. So there are IPs really easy to adapt it as TV series, live action series, but there are a lot of more IPs to really hard to be as a live action. That kind of contents we focusing on more animation production.
Yes, animation would do. All right, so just one more question. So Webtoon, you said some of them are from Kakao Entertainment themselves, the group itself. So as in some of the writers are within your company, right?
It's a little complicated. We have two platforms, Kakao Page and Kakao Webtoon.
Okay.
Kakao Webtoon is the first webtoon platform in Korea, actually globally. Kakao Webtoon was more focusing on more quality webtoon, And Kakao Page is more comprehensive platform, not just limited to webtoon, but also web novel and ebook also. And Kakao Webtoon contract with the writers directly,
Okay.
and Kakao Page contract with the publishers, and publishers contract with the writers. That kind of structures.
Right.
So we internally have producers for the Kakao Webtoon, and also we have for the Kakao Webtoon platform, and also we have seven or eight subsidiary publishers. We get an IP from them also. So we created webtoons ourselves with writers, and that kind of IPs there. And we also acquire from our publishers two structures there.
Okay. So my next question would be, webtoons often have very high expectations for these adaptations, like from books to movies, from webtoons to animated series, or even live action. How do you cater to such a broad TV audience? Because I know Kdrama has been very popular on Netflix, especially right after COVID, during COVID. How do you cater to international audience? Or maybe they just like Korean content?
It's, the one thing is, opportunity is, I think, because of the TikTok and YouTube, there, the cultural barriers getting decrease every year. Every country understands, Korean culture and Japanese culture, or Chinese culture, because of the that kind of new media. They understand each other, more and more frequently, and they understand, do you know the meaning of the apart? The song?
Yeah.
Why is the apartheid?
It's a drinking game.
Yes,
Yeah.
You already understand it.
Yes.
Because of the that kind of information was spread out, through the new medias. So maybe that is why Korean thing, we should not, for the specific global market. We just, created, quality contents for the, everyone,